Alright, before I start this video, I just want to say, you better have your passport. If you don't, you're not going anywhere. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you have not, well hi, my name is Jillian. Welcome to my channel. I make videos about travel, like this one, lifestyle vlogs. Basically, this video is all about how I travel full-time, or how I'm traveling for full-time. I started traveling in November of 2019, and I should be done like May or June, so that's around like what? In 8 months, something like that. A lot of people ask me how I'm able to travel this long. Anything you could think of, pretty much, I will be covering, and if not, I will make another video about this. But with that, let's just get ready. I'm traveling with my boyfriend. You've seen him in the travel vlogs if you've been here before. So certain things between the two of us were split in half, so that definitely makes things a lot easier. Topics that I'm not gonna really dive too far into, I'm gonna quickly just cover in the beginning of this video. So the first thing is just talking about phones and cell service. We get one SIM card between the two of us, so we have navigation and like a way to call people. And we split the cost of that, and usually you have to get a new one when you go to different places. The second thing I wanted to touch on was language barriers, because a lot of people do ask me about this. We do use Google Translate most of the time. We kind of like use a lot of body language reading and hand gestures and just motioning a lot to other things to kind of, I don't know, understand each other. Other than that, I'm just gonna get right into like the subjects I have. So the number one question that I get when it comes to talking about how I'm traveling full time is, how do I afford it? Everyone is wondering, and I completely get it, because I would be asking the same thing if I wasn't in my position, especially under my circumstances. I am 19 years old. I was working just like a normal job. Like, how am I doing this, right? I'm not even working right now, so like, where am I getting this money? So I'm gonna tell you exact numbers and just the whole process of how I saved. So I started 2019 off just saving money. I didn't know I was gonna be traveling full-time by at the start of the year. I just knew that I needed to save money. So I basically started my savings at zero, and I was trying to just save money every week when I got paid. So come March time, Tyron kind of brought this idea up where he's like, oh, have you ever heard of, you know, people traveling full time? And that'd be cool. But it was never like a set in stone thing. It was never a plan. It was just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, I would love to do that one day. Like, of course, I want to travel. That'd be awesome, right? March time, I had around $3,000 saved. So at this point in time, between like starting in January, I had this job, and all through this whole process, I was working 40 plus hours a week at this job, and I was making anywhere between $400 and $700 a week. There was never an exact amount of money I was making. I was trying to save anywhere between like $200 and $400. Some weeks I would save like that max of $400, and some weeks I wouldn't even save a penny because I had bills to pay. So by the time June came around, this is when the plan kind of started falling into place. So when we revisited the idea of full-time traveling, I knew I would never like have enough money for that. Now we're in like July time, I want to say. This is when I decided to get a second job. For me, this is how I was gonna get the money to do this. I got a second job. So my schedule is like working from, like, I got up at like 6:30 in the morning. My job started at 8. I worked until 2. And then I go to my second job at 3 and worked until like midnight, 1 in the morning, depending on the night. So it was a lot, needless to say. I was tired all the time. I didn't have time to do anything. I had one day off a week, and I worked doubles like 4 times a week, I want to say. But this is how I was able to overall afford to travel full time. Now, I want to say I made a video about how to save money. I'll put it up here. A lot of those tips are what I did like in my everyday life to save, because I saved anywhere I could. I budgeted. I cooked at home. I like lived off of pasta and like 2 different vegetables, like the whole thing. So from that second job, over like 3 or 4 months, I was able to save right around $6,000. Every time I made tips or anything like that, that money would go right into a separate savings account and I didn't touch it. I had already had a system from my full-time job for budgeting, so I only used that money to pay bills, and I was still trying to save money from those checks as well. So in a nutshell, that is how I can afford to travel full-time. So in the end, I had a little over $14,000 saved to do this. So that is what I'm living on now. So now I'm gonna get into planning this trip, because a lot of people are like, where do you start? Flights are so expensive, whatever. You're right. Something that I didn't mention when I first started to, when I was explaining that Tyron and I talked about this subject, was that he knew about a ticket, one plane ticket. So what this plane ticket does is it takes you to 24 destinations, and you have 12 months, so a full year, to get to all of them. So you can do as little as like 3 destinations on this ticket, or you can do up to 24 destinations. So it just depends on what you're interested in. Now, the cost of this ticket depends on the places you are going. With this ticket though, you can only fly in one direction, so you can't like be going like this. So we started our ticket in Cape Town, South Africa, because that is where Tyron is from. And then we went to Istanbul, Turkey, Athens, Greece, Budapest, Hungary, Treviso, Italy, Verona, Italy, and Milan. After that, we went to Zurich, and then here we are in Barcelona now. And next, which I wasn't gonna tell you where I'm going next, but I feel like for this video, it's important for you to know. After this, we're going to Bali, Indonesia, and then Bangkok, Thailand, Vietnam, Mumbai, and New Delhi, India, and then back to Cape Town. So basically, you start in one place and you do a circle and end in that place. You get this ticket through a company called AirTrex. Now, I'm gonna leave the link down below so you can get more information, and they will help you plan your trips. They pair you with like a consultant, and basically they help you plan your whole trip, and while you're on your trip, if you have like any problems or questions, they are there for you as well. It's one ticket that you buy, and they book all of your flights and everything like that. Not your accommodations or anything. This is just for flying. My ticket was over $2,500, I think. This ticket purchased all of my destinations, like where I'm flying to. I do want to say as well, in Europe, we haven't been flying to every destination. It just didn't make sense. It skyrocketed the cost of that AirTrex ticket. So we found a company called URail. I'll also have them linked down below. This is for trains. So this gives you the option to travel through different countries, like for a certain amount of money. We picked a train pass thing where it was we could travel for up to 5 days through the continent of Europe for, I think it was 200 and some each. You can pick your destinations and everything like that. They have an app too, so it tells you the times of trains and everything like that. This is also something you can coordinate with AirTrex, so they know that you are traveling on land, so then they're scheduling your next flight. For us, we flew into Budapest, and then we took trains all the way here to Barcelona. And then we are taking a plane from Barcelona to Bali, and then planes all after that. So you can kind of coordinate with the company AirTrex so they can help you when deciding when it's best to travel on land and if it'll be cheaper and everything like that. I also know for AirTrex and URail there are YouTube videos on it, so I'm gonna let you research that yourself. So speaking of trains, we are moving into the third little subject of transportation. So we walked everywhere. Honestly, 24/7. If it was an hour away, we would still walk, because taxis are an absolute joke. They are so expensive, and in Europe there is an Uber. But public transportation is such a big thing in this whole continent that it's not really difficult. It's only a few euros, anywhere between 2 and 5 euros per ticket, so it does definitely save a lot of money. So if you end up having questions, you can ask like the random person standing next to you and they can help you. The metro is a great form of public transportation, or walking, or buses, like any of those. We've done all of them. So I definitely would recommend that if you're trying to save money as well. This is what we kind of did for transportation. All right, so with transportation covered, I'm now going to move into accommodations. It's expensive to stay places, and I know that, and if you've seen by my numbers that I've already given you, I'm not rich by any means. Our main way of finding good, cheap accommodation is Airbnb. We usually budget around $30 a night in Europe, and in other places it'll be a little cheaper. This is where I said in the beginning, things kind of are a little easier for me because Tyron and I do split the cost of this. So right in half, we split the accommodation. If you can do this, definitely try to travel with someone else. It definitely costs like a lot less. Every cost is cut in half. So we use Airbnb. If that isn't enough, we do go to Expedia because they do have like some cheap things. And if not, we've done booking.com, and that helps us find like cheaper hotels as well. This video isn't sponsored, by the way. I'm just telling you everything that we do in order to travel the way we do and the best ways that we've found so far. All right, so I'm moving into a topic now that most people tend to forget when talking about trips, because you think of the destinations and where you're gonna stay and all these great things, but you can't forget about visas. Now, if you do have to get visas, and if you're from a country where you do have to get a visa, you definitely need to plan this in advance, because sometimes it takes like weeks to months in order to get visas, and this will definitely screw up your travel calendar altogether. This is something that is very important, and I think you definitely need to research on your own because every country is different. We planned everything around when we would be able to have our visas. So definitely something to keep in mind, definitely something to consider if you are looking to travel full-time, or just in general, just travel at all. Like, I feel like you can benefit from this video. So the next one is budgets. So you need to budget your entire trip, so however long this is. What we did, Tyron actually was the one that took the lead on this because he kind of figured this out, so I definitely wanted to mention it. So basically, take the total amount of money you have for this entire trip and then divide it by how many days you are going to be away. So basically, we averaged out $15 per day that we could spend. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are traveling full-time, you do buy groceries and cook at home. You don't go out every day and explore. Like, I know if you're going on like a short trip, you definitely are out exploring every day, but we're in places up to like 2 weeks sometimes, so we're definitely like not out spending money all the time. But this, I don't want to get into it too much because this one depends on you and your budget and your circumstances and finances, but I did say I wanted to be honest about mine, so that is what I did. Definitely when you're doing this, keep in mind transportation, just groceries and food, eating out, like if there's any like attraction you want to go to, like museums, they do cost money. Just anything you can think of, it probably costs money. Like, you might need some emergency cash. The last thing I did want to mention, like just quickly touch on, is insurance. I got travel insurance for Europe. That is optional as well. If you want it, I would recommend it. If anything happens, you definitely are gonna want it. That's basically how I am traveling full-time. It took us a while to plan, and you definitely want to prepare yourself in advance. My biggest advice is just really watch your spending, because it adds up really fast. If you have any other random little questions that I didn't cover in this video, definitely comment them down below. That is how I am traveling full-time, the whole process of everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and useful. I hope you got something out of it. But with that, I'm gonna end the video, guys. Like I said in the beginning, make sure to like this video and subscribe down below. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I hope you get to travel more this year, and I hope this helped you do that. I will see you in the next video, guys.